When you truly understand men emotionally, something powerful happens inside you. You stop running after love like it's about to disappear. You stop proving convincing and over-giving, because once you understand how a man's heart really works, you realize love was never meant to be chased. Love responds. Love comes forward when it feels safe, respected, and inspired. When you really understand that men respond more to peace than pressure, your whole approach to love changes. Because pressure feels normal to a woman. Talking it out, fixing it now, asking questions, clearing the air, that feels like love to you. But to a man, pressure feels like failure. It feels like he's being evaluated, measured, or found lacking. And the moment a man feels that, his instinct is not to run towards you. It's to protect himself by pulling back. A man doesn't open up emotionally when he feels cornered. He opens up when he feels calm. Peace is what allows a man to think clearly, feel deeply, and choose intentionally. When a woman brings peace into a man's life, she becomes different from everyone else. She becomes the place he rests instead of the place he braces himself for impact. And once a man associates you with peace, he doesn't want to lose you, because peace is rare in a man's world. Most men spend their lives under pressure. Pressure to succeed, pressure to provide, pressure to figure it out, pressure to be strong even when they're unsure. So when they come into a relationship and feel more pressure, more questions, more demands, more emotional weight, they don't think, "Let me love her harder." They think, "I need space." Not because they don't care, but because they're overwhelmed. Here's where many women get it wrong. When a man pulls back, they push forward. They talk more, text more, explain more, demand more reassurance. But pressure never creates closeness in a man. It creates distance. Peace is what draws him back. Peace tells him he's safe. Peace tells him he's accepted even when he's quiet. Peace tells him he doesn't have to perform to be valued. Peace doesn't mean silence forever. It doesn't mean ignoring your needs. It means choosing emotional intelligence over emotional reaction. It means knowing when to pause instead of pursue. When a man feels that you trust him enough to give him room, something powerful happens inside him. He feels respected. And respect is the doorway to a man's heart. Men don't want to be fixed. They want to be believed in. When you remove pressure, you give him space to step up on his own. And when a man steps up by choice instead of force, it means more to him. It becomes his decision, his pride, his commitment. That's when his emotions get involved. Peace also shows confidence. A woman who doesn't rush, chase, or panic sends a clear message without saying a word. I'm secure, I'm grounded. I'm not afraid to lose what isn't meant to stay. That energy is magnetic to a man. It challenges him emotionally in a way pressure never could. When you lead with peace, you stop trying to control outcomes. You stop trying to manage his feelings. You allow him to come to you emotionally instead of dragging him there. And when he does come, it's genuine, it's real, it's lasting. Understanding this one truth, that men respond more to peace than pressure, saves you from exhaustion. It keeps your dignity intact, and it allows love to grow naturally, without force, without fear, and without chasing. When you understand that a man's ego is deeply tied to respect, you stop making love harder than it needs to be. Because for a man, respect is not a luxury, it's emotional oxygen. A man can survive without praise for a while. He can even survive without affection for some time. But when he feels disrespected, something inside him slowly shuts down. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly. And that's the most dangerous kind of distance. A man's ego isn't about arrogance the way people think. It's about identity. It's about feeling capable, trusted, and valued for who he is and what he brings. When a man feels respected, he feels seen. And when he feels seen, he becomes emotionally available. But when a man feels talked down to, constantly corrected, or made to feel small, his heart doesn't argue, it retreats. Many women believe love is built through emotional closeness alone, but for a man, emotional closeness is unlocked through respect. The way you speak to him, the way you react when he's wrong, the way you handle disagreement, all of it either builds his ego or bruises it. And a bruised ego doesn't chase love. It protects itself. Men don't open up to people who make them feel inadequate. They open up to people who make them feel like they matter. That doesn't mean agreeing with everything he says or pretending he's perfect. It means correcting without humiliating, expressing needs without attacking, and disagreeing without disrespect. Tone matters more to a man than words. A calm voice reaches him faster than a sharp one ever will. When a man feels respected, he naturally wants to do more. He wants to provide, to show up, to be consistent. Not because he's being pushed, but because his pride is engaged, and pride is powerful. A respected man doesn't feel used, he feels chosen. And that feeling makes him emotionally invested. One of the biggest mistakes in relationships is trying to motivate a man through criticism, pointing out what he's not doing, comparing him to other men, reminding him of his shortcomings. That approach doesn't inspire growth, it creates resistance. A man hears criticism as a message that he's failing. And when a man believes he's failing, he either shuts down or pulls away. Respect also shows up in trust. When you constantly question a man's decisions, check his loyalty, or doubt his intentions, he hears one thing: I don't trust you. And trust is tied directly to his sense of manhood. When trust is broken or never given, emotional connection struggles to survive. Understanding this doesn't make you submissive. It makes you strategic. It allows you to communicate in a way that lands instead of clashes. When you lead with respect, you don't lose your voice. You make it more effective. You stop fighting to be heard because he's finally listening. When a man feels respected, his emotional walls soften. He becomes more expressive, more affectionate, more present. Not because you demanded it, but because you created an environment where his ego felt safe enough to let his heart speak. When a man feels emotionally safe, that's when he falls in love, not before. Emotional safety is the invisible foundation most people ignore, yet it controls everything. A man can be attracted to you, desire you, even enjoy you, but love doesn't grow until he feels safe enough to be himself without fear of judgment, pressure, or punishment. And most men don't feel emotionally safe very often, even in relationships. Men are taught early to hide vulnerability. Don't cry. Don't complain. Don't admit fear. Be strong. Be solid. Be in control. So when a man starts to feel something real for a woman, it scares him. Not because love is weak, but because love requires exposure, and exposure is risky. If a man senses that opening up will be met with criticism, emotional reactions, or later used against him, he closes back up immediately. Emotional safety means a man can speak without being attacked. It means he can be honest without triggering an argument. It means his flaws aren't constantly highlighted, and his mistakes aren't thrown back at him during conflict. When a man realizes that being honest won't cost him peace, he starts telling the truth more often. That's when emotional intimacy deepens naturally. Many women unknowingly break emotional safety by reacting instead of responding. A man shares something vulnerable, and it turns into interrogation. He admits a fear, and it becomes a lecture. He opens up about stress, and suddenly he's being told how he's failing. After that, he learns a simple lesson: silence is safer. And once silence feels safer than honesty, emotional connection starts fading. A man in love wants to feel accepted before he feels corrected. Emotional safety doesn't mean tolerating disrespect, but it does mean choosing understanding before judgment. When a man feels like he has to be perfect to be loved, he never fully relaxes. But when he feels accepted as he is, he starts growing into who he wants to be. Men also need emotional safety to express affection. A man won't give emotionally if he fears it won't be appreciated. When his efforts are dismissed, minimized, or compared, he pulls back. But when his love is received with warmth instead of expectation, he feels encouraged to give more. Emotional safety shows up in how you handle conflict. Calm conversations invite closeness. Explosive reactions invite distance. Men don't avoid emotions, they avoid chaos. When emotions feel unpredictable, they protect themselves by disengaging. But when emotions feel steady, they lean in. This is why men often fall hardest for the woman who doesn't rush them, the woman who listens more than she interrupts, the woman who allows space without punishment, the woman who doesn't weaponize feelings. That kind of emotional maturity makes a man feel safe enough to invest his heart. When emotional safety exists, a man doesn't feel trapped by love. He feels supported by it. He doesn't fear losing himself. He feels more like himself. And that's when love stops being a risk and starts becoming a choice he's willing to make again and again. When you understand that men value appreciation more than constant attention, you stop exhausting yourself trying to be everywhere all the time. Attention can be loud, it can be frequent, it can even feel loving. But appreciation is quieter, deeper, and far more powerful to a man's heart. A man may enjoy attention, but what truly connects him emotionally is feeling that what he does actually matters. Men are action-oriented by nature. They express love through effort, showing up, solving problems, providing, protecting, fixing, and doing. When those efforts go unnoticed, a man doesn't usually complain. He just slowly stops trying, not because he doesn't care, but because he feels invisible. Appreciation tells a man, I see you. I value what you bring. You make a difference here. Constant attention, on the other hand, can feel demanding. Too many calls, messages, questions, and emotional check-ins may feel like closeness to a woman, but to a man it can feel like pressure. He starts feeling monitored instead of appreciated. And when a man feels watched more than valued, his emotional energy drains. Appreciation is specific. It's not just saying thank you, it's recognizing effort. A man feels deeply connected when a woman notices the small things he does without being asked. When she acknowledges his consistency, his patience, his sacrifices. That recognition feeds his pride in a healthy way and motivates him to do more, not because he's obligated, but because he wants to. Men rarely feel celebrated. Society often focuses on what men should be doing better instead of what they're already doing right. So when a woman becomes a place where a man feels appreciated instead of criticized, she stands out emotionally. He associates her with encouragement, not exhaustion. Many women believe that more attention equals more love. But love doesn't grow from being constantly needed. It grows from being genuinely valued. A man doesn't want to feel like your only source of happiness. That weight is heavy. But he does want to feel like his presence improves your life. That's a role he's proud to play. When appreciation replaces constant attention, conversations change. There's less chasing and more choosing, less anxiety and more confidence. A woman who appreciates instead of demands sends a powerful message. I enjoy you, but I don't depend on you to feel whole. That independence is emotionally attractive to a man. Appreciation also creates emotional safety. When a man knows his efforts will be acknowledged instead of dismissed, he feels safe to invest more. He doesn't fear that nothing he does will ever be enough. Instead, he feels inspired to grow. Men don't fall deeper because they're constantly checked on. They fall deeper because they feel valued. Appreciation tells a man he's winning with you. And when a man feels like he's winning, he doesn't look for the exit. He looks for ways to stay engaged, committed, and emotionally present. When you understand that men chase what challenges their growth and not desperation, you stop trying to prove your worth and start embodying it. Because desperation has a sound to it. It shows up in rushing, over-giving, over-explaining, and fearing loss before anything is even built. And men feel that energy immediately. Not because they're cruel or calculating, but because desperation feels like emotional weight, and most men are already carrying enough weight in their lives. A man is naturally drawn to progress. He's wired to move toward purpose, improvement, and achievement. When he feels like being with you adds to his growth, instead of draining it, he becomes emotionally invested. But when he senses that he's being clung to for validation, reassurance, or emotional survival, something inside him resists. Not love, but responsibility. He doesn't want to feel like he's responsible for holding someone together. Desperation often disguises itself as love. It looks like constant availability, sacrificing boundaries, and ignoring red flags just to keep someone close. But a man doesn't see that as devotion. He sees it as imbalance. And imbalance doesn't inspire pursuit. Growth does. A woman who has her own life, her own standards, her own direction challenges a man emotionally without saying a word. Men chase what they have to rise to. When a man feels like he has to become better to keep you, he leans in. When he feels like he can do the bare minimum and you'll still stay, he relaxes, and not in a good way. Growth-oriented attraction is about inspiration, not fear. It's about seeing something in you that makes him want to elevate his own life. This is why confidence is so powerful. Confidence isn't loud. It's calm. It doesn't beg. It doesn't threaten. It doesn't rush timelines or force labels. Confidence trusts that what's meant to stay will stay, and what's not can leave without breaking you. That energy challenges a man because it removes control from his hands. He can't manipulate it. He can't rush it. He has to earn it. Men don't chase women who abandon themselves. They chase women who know when to walk away emotionally without drama. A woman who can say no. A woman who can pause instead of panic. A woman who doesn't collapse when things feel uncertain. That emotional strength is rare, and rarity creates value. Desperation also kills mystery. When everything is available instantly, there's nothing to discover. Growth requires curiosity. A man wants to feel like there's depth to you, layers to learn, a life he gets invited into, not one that stops existing without him. When you continue growing, evolving, and choosing yourself, he sees you as a partner, not a project. Men respect women who respect themselves. Self-respect shows up in boundaries, standards, and patience. It shows up in not forcing conversations, not chasing closure, and not begging for effort. When a man sees that you won't settle for inconsistency, he has two choices: rise or remove himself. And either way, you win. Growth-based attraction is quiet but powerful. It's not built on fear of losing someone. It's built on the desire to be better with them. A man who grows emotionally around you starts associating you with progress, clarity, and strength. And that connection goes deeper than attraction. It becomes admiration. When you stop moving from desperation and start moving from alignment, love stops feeling like a struggle. You're no longer trying to convince someone to choose you. You're allowing space for the right man to meet you at your level. And that shift changes everything about how men see you, approach you, and invest in you. When you truly understand men emotionally, the power in a relationship quietly shifts back into your hands, and not in a loud or manipulative way. It shifts because you stop operating from confusion and start moving from clarity. Most women chase love because they don't